Good morning, Girl Scouts. It's so nice to see you. Welcome. And we're so excited that you're here this morning on a Saturday to enjoy it, to join us for an Inspiring Futures. So if you haven't met me before on one of these Zoom calls, I'm Katie Hirsting, and I'm the Program and Events Manager at Girl Scouts of Colorado. So I get to be the lucky one in my job to host this virtual series where we introduce Girl Scouts to accomplished women in a whole variety of professions. So you can get to be inspired about what your own future might look like. So we have the perfect partner for this series, and that's College Invest. So College Invest, they're Colorado's college savings plan, and it makes it easy to save for your education after high school. Excuse me. So that's just a fancy way of saying that they exist just for one reason, and that's to help you and your families put away money to save for your inspired future. So I started a College Invest savings plan for both my daughters, who are Girl Scouts, when we moved to Colorado about 10 years ago. And I now have a daughter who's headed off to college in the fall. And we're actually kind of very glad, actually, that we saved with College Invest, so that can help us with her educational future. So basically, College Invest, it's like a piggy bank. But even better, because the money that goes into College Invest from caregivers or parents or grandparents, it grows tax-free. So it doesn't get taxed when you take it out. And it's used for your expenses past high school. And whether that's trade school or apprenticeships or college, anywhere across the country, and College Invest can help out with that educational pathway. So we're going to hear a quick message from College Invest CEO about what she hopes you're going to get out of today and this series.
Hi, I'm Angela Beyer, CEO of College Invest, and welcome to this episode of Inspiring Futures. Through Girl Scouts, you've learned that if you can dream it, you can do it. And here at College Invest, Colorado's Education Savings Program, we help you get there. And you're never too young to begin to imagine your inspired future. So how will you impact this world? Will you run your own business, invent a new technology, or maybe even discover a life-saving cure? But wherever your inspiration takes you, a College Invest savings plan can help make your dreams a reality. Now, prepare to be inspired.
All right, next up, just a few housekeeping items, girls. So we are recording this, but when this goes up onto our YouTube channel that we have that's dedicated for Inspiring Futures, I'll make sure to edit it so we won't see your faces or things because it's a public-facing website. So you're all safe with that, but we'd love to see you and interact with you, of course, today. So feel free to turn on your videos, and we would love to see you. So next up is our Girl Scout Promise and Law. So also, again, if you'd like to unmute and join me, I would love it. Are you ready? Here we go. On my honor, I will try to serve God and my country and help people at all times and to live by the Girl Scout law. And the law is, I do my best to be honest and fair, friendly and helpful, considerate and caring, courageous and strong, responsible for what I say and do, and to respect myself and others, respect authority, use resources wisely, make the world a better place, and be a sister to every Girl Scout. Awesome. So next I want to introduce you to Lana Young. She is an actor, producer, director, voiceover artist, acting coach, and just overall an amazing human being. I went to high school with her, and it's just been so lovely to connect back with her. Before we get into everything with Lana, I want to show you her reel so you can see, sort of the acting things that she's been involved in. Okay, here we go.
Did you witness Jackson Martin having any anger issues during that time?
Yeah, Jackson lost his temper at football practice plenty of times. He could be a real hothead.
How so?
He'd yell, he'd rough you up on the field. Things had to go his way or he went ballistic.
Juror number 9 is devouring everything Reed's saying.
Did you ever see him lose his temper with Sarah Norris?
Yes.
Unfortunately, I only had one opportunity to interview him.
Why is that?
Well, his father, Lyle Martin, paid a visit to my lieutenant. He was in the office for about an hour. After he left, my lieutenant informed me that Jackson is no longer a suspect in Sarah's disappearance.
Did he give you a reason why?
No, but about a week later, my lieutenant leaves for a 2-week vacation to Cancun.
Objection, Your Honor.
Sustained. Stick to the facts, Detective.
Other than the timing of Lyle Martin's visit and your lieutenant's vacation, was there any other fact that made you think those two events were connected?
Yes, there was.
I don't understand what's happening, but you need to listen to me. Maria died 3 years ago.
No.
Which was 2 years after you...
After I what? After I what?
After you disappeared. Hello, Mrs. Landon. You got here much faster than I expected. That's good.
Where is he?
1 floor up. None of us here have ever seen old wounds reopen. His lungs, the water, the root cause is almost certainly viral, but as of now, we have no idea what virus that might be. I don't need my life in danger.
It's just a smoke canister.
I think it's pretty clear they're here, and they are angry. And I haven't even done anything for you yet. Who knows how far they'll go if I actually help?
You can't do this, Olivia. I need you to end this investigation.
It's too hot right now, and I'm not gonna do anything to jeopardize my career or my family. I'm sorry. I know what it's like to feel helpless. Like there's no one there to protect you. It happened to me when I was 14. Sorry. It's time to go.
Tina.
I'm gonna do everything I can to help you, Carlos.
I'm sorry for all of this, sis. For real.
Time heals. Okay. Did you witness Jackson Martin having any anger issues during that time?
Yeah, Jackson lost his temper at football practice plenty of
That's
times.
it, Katie.
He could be a real hothead.
How so?
He'd yell, he'd rough you up on the field. Things had to go his way or he went ballistic.
There we go. You have me on loop.
Oh,
Juror number 9 is to...
all right. Thank you for noticing that. I couldn't look over at my screen.
It's like, that sounds familiar.
Well, welcome.
Thank
And
you.
now here she is, and she's going to take over from here.
Wonderful. So I don't see any faces and I feel all alone. I would really love it if I could see all of your beautiful faces. Yes, thank you. Now I feel like we're a team. All right. Hey, is it Zeta? Yeah, did I get that right? Beautiful name, Zeta. And we have Andy. And I think someone else came in the room too when we were watching the demo, but I don't see them here. So maybe that was just a figment of my imagination.
I think it's Hannah.
Oh, is it Hannah?
Yeah.
Hannah, if you're here, can I hear your voice?
Hi.
Hi, how are you?
Good.
Good. If you're feeling brave, I'd love to see your face too. So we're all together. There we go. Awesome. Well, almost. We're almost there with a face. I see a square. So girls, please, in the chat, open up your chat. And I want you to type in one word to describe how you're feeling right now. Andy's really sussing it out. How do I feel right now? Tired. Where are you, Zeta? You can speak. It's okay. You can unmute yourself and speak. I mean, where in the world? Joyful. Oh, one of my favorite words. Thank you, Andy. Hannah, how are you feeling? Greeley. Okay, where's Greeley? Hannah's tired too. Zeta, you can speak if you want to. I like to hear people's voices. Windsor, got it. All right, Windsor, Ontario. I'm in New York City, everybody. So I am an actor, as you just saw. And I often like to ask people what they think acting is. What is acting? And you can put it in this chat, or you can unmute yourself and you can speak. I love either option. Hannah, are you still with us? Hannah might have gone back to sleep.
Yes.
You're still with us, Hannah? That's good. How do you all feel about unmuting yourselves and having a conversation? You good with that? Andy likes to speak. You're still on mute, Andy.
Okay, so I would probably describe acting as a process where you basically pretend, but with a script.
Okay, that's a good description. What about you, Zeta? You can unmute yourself if you like. There we go.
Acting is a visual art form that can be seen from all around the world.
That is also correct. Hannah. You can unmute yourself. There you go.
I agree with Zeta.
With Zeta. All right, sounds good. Now, I think when we talk about acting, people who aren't actors or who have never acted think that it is pretending, which it is to a certain point. But when we are affected by what we see in a film or a TV show, if we're affected deeply by it, it's usually because the actor is really experiencing that human moment for real. They are lending their real experiences, their real emotions to that character, and they're existing in that moment very truthfully and authentically. How do you think we are able to exist truthfully and authentically in a human moment while being an actor? In that moment, what do you think the active thing is that we're doing to make that possible? Yeah, Zeta?
You're like finding something you can relate to with that character, and that can bring more physical and real emotion to the character while you're acting.
Definitely. That is definitely a wonderful technique to create something personal. What else? What else can we be doing in that moment to give us the sense that it's happening for the first time?
The way that it feels so real that it feels like it is real, like it's actually happening, not that it's just for a movie or just for a show or anything.
Right. So what do we as actors need to be doing in that moment in order for it to feel real? What is the thing that we do in conversations all day long when we're having conversations in real life? How does a conversation between two people work? What needs to be happening?
Two people need to be active in that conversation and actually express themselves truthfully or something.
Yes, you said two people need to be active in that conversation. I love that. So what are the two things that we have to be active doing when we're having a conversation, or else we can't have the conversation?
Using body language to express yourself and talking.
And what else? Talking and?
Using like physical body language.
Listening. And it's the simplest thing, isn't it? But everyone always forgets about the listening. we can't have a conversation if we're not listening, right? Why? Why can't we have a conversation if we're not listening?
You can't have a conversation if you're not listening. Otherwise, it's just going to be kind of like off topic.
It's just going to be a one-way conversation, right? I could be talking to you right now, but if you're not listening to me, you can't engage with me in the same topic that I'm engaging you with because you haven't been listening, right? So the first thing that new actors do when they get a script is they stop listening because they know what they're going to say and they know what the other person's going to say and they're being told what's going to happen. So they actually stop functioning as a human being. And that is their first mistake. So who here is an actor? See, and that's amazing to me because you both, I can't see Hannah, but you both had answers. You had an understanding of acting as though you were actors or had acted in something before. Have you ever acted in anything before?
I have. I've been in a play before.
What was your experience with that? Did you enjoy it?
Yeah.
Tell me a little bit about it.
It was about Robinson Crusoe.
Mm-hmm.
And I was playing like a group part. So I was one person in a specific group. And
like an ensemble?
Yeah.
And did you have to do anything?
Yeah, I got to sing.
Nice. Excellent. And what was your group, was your ensemble there to help tell the story? Were they sort of like the narrators through the show? Like, did you feel like you had a purpose?
My group was there to kind of like build the storyline.
Yes.
And advance the plot.
Excellent. Wonderful. How about you, Andy?
I'm a dancer, so I've been in a lot of my dance school's plays. I've been in the Nutcracker.
Nice. Excellent. So you understand expression, right? Dancers express with their bodies. They tell a story with their bodies. I've actually coached a couple of dancers who wanted to become actors. And it's a pretty decent transition, you know. Hannah, have you ever acted in anything?
Yes.
Tell me about that experience.
I kind of forgot it because it was a long time ago.
Uh-huh. Was it just in a school play?
Probably.
You really did forget about it. Okay. Maybe it wasn't a good experience for you. What do you, in this moment in your lives, what do you want to be? And without limits, no limits from parents, no limits from teachers. What do you want to be in your dreams? No shame, no embarrassment.
I want to be a veterinarian.
Nice. Awesome. What about you, Andy?
Full-time artist.
Full-time artist. And any particular type of art?
I mainly do traditional art, but I'm trying to get I'm saving up for a drawing tablet currently.
Oh, nice, nice. So do you see yourself being an artist, like a painter, drawer kind of thing? Do you see taking that into a profession like advertising or anything like that? Or do you want to just be a fine artist that sells their art?
Probably just a fine artist that sells art, but it would be good to do like commissions and stuff.
Mm-hmm. Wonderful. And Hannah, how about you? What do you want to do? No limits.
I want to be a marine biologist.
Ooh,
and someone who takes care of snow leopards.
Snow leopards. Oh, that is awesome. What a great, great idea. I'm actually originally from Bermuda, and we have a marine biology station down there that's actually well known. So maybe you'll get to be in Bermuda sometime. Well, I just want to say that regardless of whether you want to be an actor or not, there are so many beautiful life skills that we can learn through acting that can be applied to anything throughout life, right? Acting is human behavior. It's understanding how people work, how they exist in the world, how they respond to things, how their behavior. So let me ask you this. How old are all of you?
I'm 11.
11? 10, Hannah?
I'm 9.
Okay, so in your 9, 10, 11 years, right, would you agree that all the experiences that you've had in your life up to this moment in your life have helped to shape the person you are? So whatever joys or sadnesses or experiences, how your caretakers care for you, how your school cares for you, etc., it all shapes how you behave and how you exist in your life at this moment.
I think most definitely, because like I have had animals around me my entire life, and so I was kind of used to the idea of having to go to the vet.
Mm-hmm.
And so I always thought it would be kind of cool if someday I could be the person that you go see to take care of your animals.
So your experience was in direct correlation to your dream of being a veterinarian and your care for animals. Exactly. So the reason I say that is because it's a powerful tool for actors and for anyone going into any job at all in their lives, any careers, to understand how people work, how they behave. It helps us to relate to other people, right? So as an actor, if I get a script, it's my job to understand why this character exists in this moment in time. The script is always just a slice of their life, right? When you read a book, when you watch a movie, when you watch a TV show, you are seeing just a slice of that person's life, right? And usually they have an obstacle, a big obstacle that they have to overcome, right? A conflict, they overcome the obstacle and hopefully they reach their goal. That's the story structure that you often see in stories, in books and movies and TV. It depends on how that character was shaped over their lives. That is what informs how they deal with the obstacle in their life, right? So as an actor, it's my job to figure that out. It's my job to figure out this person's story. And I get as much as I can from the script, all the little clues I can find from the script. And sometimes I have to make up some things like what my childhood was like, and what my schooling might have been like, and what my traumas may have been, what my joys may have been. And then I'm able to relate to the character more, and I'm able to figure out what parts of me I can use in service of the character. Does that make sense? So for instance, if let's say there is, my character is I hope this doesn't disturb anybody. Let's just say this is so unrealistic for me. Let's say my character is a murderer. I have no idea what it's like to be a murderer, right? I don't go around murdering people. So what do I do as the actor to get into the shoes of a murderer, right? Well, it's my job now to research what motivates murderers, what motivates people to do this, to commit this disgusting, tragic act, right? And for some people, it may be an act of power. Maybe they felt powerless in their lives and they need to do this thing to feel powerful. Well, I know that I felt powerless in my life at some point, right? And that I had to find my inner power in order to keep moving forward. So I'm able to use that experience towards my character. And now I can make it as realistic as I possibly can in a situation that I would really never really understand or know about. Does that make sense? Any questions about that at all? No. Relationships are also very important, right? Now, you probably talk to your mom. Does anyone have siblings? Yes, siblings. Yes. Hannah, do you have siblings?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. So you probably talk to your mom or your caretakers differently than you talk to your siblings, right? Yes. And differently than you talk to your teachers, right? And then maybe your friends in class, right? We have a different way of being with different people in our lives. And so when I get a script, I have to immediately study what my relationships are with the people in the scene so that I can relate to them accordingly. So if I'm talking to a best friend, then I know that I'm going to be maybe looser with her. I'm going to be more fun with her. I'm not going to be on my best behavior maybe. But if I'm talking to my mother, I might be a little impatient. I might be a little like maybe overly respectful. It depends on what your relationship is like with your mother, right? Or your caretaker or your father. And so it's important for us to understand, to start to shape the scene, I need to know who I'm talking to and how I feel about them, right? Yes. And then I have to understand what my goal in the scene is. Has anyone seen any of the shows that you saw on my reel? Did anyone watch WandaVision or like any Marvel Marvel fans here?
I haven't watched WandaVision, but my brother has.
Okay, all right, good.
Yeah, I have seen WandaVision.
You have seen WandaVision. Okay, did you see the whole show?
Yes.
So you probably saw that part that I was in the blip when the doctor, I'm the doctor. As you can see, I play a lot of doctors. But in that moment, there was a lot of imagination that I needed to pull in, because that was in the blip, and people are appearing in the hospital out of nowhere. They're reappearing after having disappeared for 5 years, right? Including Maria, who I was speaking to in that scene. She has just appeared after having disappeared after 5 years. So when we were on set, we had to pretend like we were seeing these people appearing. And then, of course, they made it happen in post-production, like people just appearing out of nowhere. So there's understanding the relationship, there's understanding my obstacle in the scene, there's understanding what my goal is in the scene, which is to tell this girl her mother has died since she disappeared 5 years ago. And then also using my imagination to imagine that people are just popping up around me. So there's a lot of stuff to consider. But when you think about how you move through your day, every day, just as a human being, right? We are listening, we are observing, we are being affected by what we're seeing, and that informs then how we move through our day. And that's really all it is about being an actor. It's just understanding how we exist as human beings and then applying that to the script and to the character. Does that make sense? Have you ever watched something and not really cared about the person? Have you ever watched a TV show or a film and sort of been like, oh, well, I don't really care? Or have you watched it and you felt really sad or moved or excited for that person and you really care about what happens? Like, no, don't do, oh, no, I don't want that to happen to them. That is the difference between an actor really committing to doing that work so that you feel like you're watching that person really going through that. And they're feeling it, which is why you're feeling it. If an actor doesn't do their work and they're just up there saying their lines and they're just waiting to talk, they're not listening, they're just waiting for that person to finish talking and then they talk or whatever, we sit there and we're like, this is not moving me at all. So the next time you watch something, I want you to observe that. Like, how is this person making me feel? And then watch what they're doing. Often it's very little because their inner worlds are so strong. Their thoughts are so strong. They're listening so carefully. We're watching them being affected by their circumstances. It's a really powerful thing to observe. So tell me, what are your favorite, do you watch any TV shows or movies?
So currently, me and my family have been rewatching a lot of the Lord of the Rings movies.
Oh, yes. So good. So good. That's a lot of imagination stuff too, right? Because they have to pretend like they're seeing all these amazing things like walking trees. And I love those trees. And Gollum, you know?
Yeah.
So what do you like about that? What do you like about that show?
I like it because I feel like it's not realistic, but then again, it's not fictional. It's just right in between that it's realistic and it's not fictional. Because
what I love, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. Go ahead.
There's realistic things that happen in it, but then again, there's not realistic things.
Right. Well, and you know why I think you feel that way is because the performances are so grounded and so authentic that they're dealing with these fantastical imaginary things that we don't have to deal with in life, but they're so committed and they're so affected by all of these things, like emotionally, that's why it feels so real, right? Yeah, I really enjoyed that show too. What about you, Zeta?
I really like watching animal documentaries because for some reason I find animal documentaries entertaining.
Well, they are. I mean, and you want to be a vet, so that makes a lot of sense. So generally when you're watching animal documentaries, you're listening to maybe a narrator, right? Someone narrating. And so that's another form of acting, right? That person needs to make you feel something. Their goal is to help you to understand what the topic of the documentary is about. So it's to educate you. It's to engage you, right? Or else you'll turn it off. They have to make it interesting with their voice. And their job is to reach you with the information, right? So I've also narrated some things similar to that. So there is an element of connecting and engaging the audience when you watch those animal documentaries. So next time when you're watching an animal documentary, listen to the narrator and kind of take note of their goal. Like, are they doing a good job at educating you? Are they doing a good job at engaging you? Do you feel something about the animals with the way they use their voice, the texture of their voice, the level of emotion they use when they're speaking about the animals? Yeah. And Hannah, how about you?
So I watch Amphibia and the Owl House.
Oh, okay. And tell me a little bit, I don't know that one, so tell me a little bit about that.
So they're both based in other worlds. And the Owl House is kind of about magic.
Mm-hmm.
And Amphibia is more about amphibians.
Okay. And so are they dealing with obstacles that they have to overcome to get to a goal in each episode?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. So same thing as like we were talking about with Lord of the Rings. So now, now that you know a little more about acting and what it takes for actors, even if they're just using their voices for characters, what their goal is, what their work is when they go in to entertain you, our job as actors are to move you, to entertain you, to engage you, make you feel something, make you experience something. So, so far, what are some of the life skills that you've heard me talk about that you think that you can apply to your own lives moving forward and your own careers moving forward? You can unmute yourself, Andy and Zeta and Hannah.
Like really listening to what someone is speaking about, because no matter what you're doing, there's always going to be something in your life where you're going to have conversations, whether it's like an interview for a job, if you're talking with your friends, if you're trying to arrange going out to dinner.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Thank you. And that's the biggest one, is listening. They're all important, but listening is very, very important. And in fact, I can't remember which philosopher it was that said this, but giving someone your attention is the best gift you can give to someone, is your attention. And that requires listening and just being present, right? Think about that next time when you're with someone, that maybe just being there for them and listening and giving them your full attention and not being in the phones or whatever is the best gift you can give to a friend or someone in need. That's a great lesson to learn from acting. What about you, Andy? What do you think?
I'd probably say what Zeta said.
Listening.
Yeah, listening.
And Hannah, how about you?
I also agree with Zeta.
The listening. Yeah. It's really the kind of the basis for all good interactions, right? Without it, you can't move forward. Really and truly, you cannot move forward in any sort of real engaged way at all. How about the relationship part? Understanding relationships and understanding how you exist in relationships. How do you think that could be applied to your lives, in your personal lives or your work lives in the future?
I feel like understanding relationships would be very important, because like in the future in our work lives, if we don't understand a relationship with like a colleague or a coworker, it would be very hard to communicate with them, because we wouldn't know what to refer to them as and stuff like that.
Excellent. Excellent, Andy. And also understanding how different people exist, right? So you might have two colleagues and one might be, maybe sensitive and needs to be talked to in a certain way. And someone else might be, short-tempered and aggressive, and you need to know how to exist with them and to talk with them, right? And maybe your goal is the same thing with both of those people, but your approach is going to be very different, right? So it's I call it being a human behavior voyeur, right? A voyeur likes to spy on people. I love to really watch people and how they are affected by anything in their lives. When I coach, it's really important for me to see how different people learn, right? Everybody learns differently. And so if I was teaching you three, you will all have three different learning styles. So one sort of blanket way of coaching is not going to serve you. So I might say, okay, Zeta needs me to do this. She's more visual, so let me use more visual techniques. And, it might be that Hannah is more, she likes words. So I'm going to make sure that I use wording techniques. And then Andy might need to do, something completely different. And whatever you need is the way that I am going to serve you. And that's if we go out into our lives and we take that into consideration when we're dealing with the people in our lives, then we're going to do really well with our relationships, right? It's called empathy. And that's one other thing that is very good with acting, that a good skill to have in acting is to be able to empathize with other people and understand them, right? Put ourselves in their shoes. Awesome. All right, Andy's going to dance class. It was so nice to meet you, Andy.
Hi.
Good luck with your future.
Thank you.
You're welcome. And I think we're coming to the end of our time anyway. But did you all have any questions about me as an actor or what it's like to be on set or any of my journey? Because, it was a kind of a dream come true. I was living on an island in Bermuda. And it wasn't until I was in my 30s that I went to drama school and changed my life around to do my job. Hannah, of course you can go to the bathroom. Thank you for asking. Any questions at all, Zeta? No. Okay. Well, it was nice to meet you. Katie, are you there? I think Katie is here.
Yes, I am here.
You're here.
Yeah.
So do you have any questions, Katie?
I sure do have questions. So I would love to know sort of the process of how you find acting jobs.
Oh, yes. Okay. So auditions. Well, when I first got started, before I had an agent or a team looking for auditions for me, there are different websites online that you can join, like Actors Access and Backstage and Cast It Talent. And I would have a headshot up there and I would have some scenes, some acting work so that they could see that I could act. And they put out what we call breakdowns. So it might be, woman, in this age group, she's a lawyer, she's tough and aggressive, but she's a softie at heart kind of thing. And I might say, oh, well, I can play that role. So I would hit submit and I would add my headshot and I would add a clip of my acting that was sort of lawyer-ish. And I would submit myself for that job. And if they want to see me, then they would get in touch and say, we'd like to invite you to an audition. And then they would send me a piece of the script that's called the sides, SIDES. And I would prepare the sides. I do my character work. And then I would memorize the lines. And then I would record the auditions and send it in. And then they look at everything, right? Because they're trying to put together a cast. And so they might really love my audition, but maybe for some reason I might not match the other person in the scene for 1,000 different reasons. Then they might not use me for that. Or they might say, she's perfect. She's exactly what we're looking for. Let's cast her in this movie. And then now I become the lawyer in that movie. Oh. That's you. But now I have a team. So I have agents that are looking at all the looking at all the casting breakdowns and deciding which ones I'm good for and then submitting me. And then I have a manager that if she thinks that I'm really perfect for this job, will maybe call up the casting director and say, you really need to see Lana for this. Oh, and then I'll be invited to audition and I'll do the audition and send it in. And then they decide the casting directors decide if they then send it on to the producers for a final decision.
All right. Oh, cool. Okay. Yeah. Another quick question is, what is the silliest thing that you think has happened to you while you've been on set?
Oh my God. Probably can't say that in this medium, but let me think of one. The silliest thing. Well, when I was in the Vampire Diaries, I was in a season where my body was taken over by what they called travelers. And these travelers came into town and they were trying to take over all the important people in the town so that they could then take over the town. And so my body got taken over by a traveler, and my husband was getting really suspicious because I was not acting like myself because I had a stranger in my body. And I realized the traveler inside me realizes that, he's getting too close for comfort. Like he's starting to notice these things. And I had to stab him in the neck with scissors. They were prop scissors. Don't worry. They were just plastic. They were rubber things, and it was not real scissors. But to have to learn how to do that was amazing. How they made that happen was, the cameras on my hand, they see me pick up a real pair of scissors, and then they cut, and then they put the prop handles in my hand. So now I've got rubber handles in my hand, and I go to do this, and all it is the handle, and then they cut. And then they put prosthetics around my husband's neck, not my real husband, my TV husband. And it looks like the scissors are sitting in his neck and blood. And then he just falls over and plays dead.
Wow.
So I would say that was the biggest learning curve I'd ever had, because I'd never had to do a stunt like that. So to watch the movie magic of making that happen was really amazing.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, that's so interesting.
And that's the scene that everyone remembers. Any of the Vampire Diary fans are always like, "Oh, I remember that scene."
Oh, because you're like, oh.
Yes. And the director said to the guy who was playing my husband, "You're being stabbed in the neck with scissors. Could you just act a little more like in pain and surprised?" Because he was like,
"Oh."
And he was like, "Yeah, sure. I've never been stabbed before, so I'm not really sure how to act there."
Right.
So that was really fun.
Oh,
yeah.
That's
and
awesome.
In fact, the writer in that show, for that particular episode, I was on another show years later called Outcast, and this woman was staring at me, and I looked back and I said, "I'm sorry, do I know you?" She's like, Are you Lana Young? Were you I think you were in my episode of the Vampire Diaries." And I went, "Oh my God." And I said this line, I said, "You know what's wrong? You know what I think is wrong? It's taken you so long to notice your wife's body has been colonized by a total stranger." And she looked at me, she's like, "You remember the line?" And I was like, "That was the best line I've ever said in my whole career. Of course I remember it." She was so impressed.
Oh,
that's a big compliment, isn't it? When someone remembers what you wrote all those years ago.
Oh, definitely. Yeah. Awesome. Well, I could ask a ton more questions. It's fascinating learning about your world and everything that goes on in it. So,
and it's been really interesting learning myself, not knowing what to expect. I didn't know about the TV film world when I started, so I had to really learn a lot on the go.
Right.
Just like with life, I suppose. But every opportunity to work is a new learning curve. Every time I learn something new and I learn something new. So, I'm always growing, which is important in life, right? To always keep growing and learning. And the minute we think we know everything, that it's over. Right. We hopefully will be students for the rest of our lives,
I think we will. I think we will. Yeah. Awesome. Well, Zeta and Hannah, thank you so much for joining us.
Yes, it was nice to meet you.
Fantastic. And sharing what goes on in your world, and good luck with everything going forward. And maybe I will, Zeta, were you in the call with the zoo and hearing about the vets from the zoo with the Inspiring Futures? Because if you weren't, it's up on the YouTube channel. So I'll forward the link over to your caregiver, and she can, because we had the zoo on Inspiring Futures and they talked about the vets at the zoo. And we got
that would be perfect for you, Zeta.
Yeah, we have the Denver Dumb Friends League that deals with animal welfare. They're coming up. So maybe we'll
yeah, can I just ask Zeta and Hannah a quick question before we go? I know we're at the end. Yeah. Can I ask you what inspired you to sign up for this particular workshop? What interested you about it?
Well,
I also, oh, sorry, you can go.
Go ahead, Zeta.
I find it very interesting about how I wanted to know more about how you could understand someone that maybe just doesn't exist and how you can make that person come to life with your own words.
Yes, I love that. So did I help answer that question?
Definitely.
Oh, good. I'm so happy to hear that. And Hannah?
I came to this webinar because I wanted to learn more about acting.
And did you learn more about acting?
Yes.
Excellent.
Awesome.
Do you think that you'll ever do a play again?
Yes.
Awesome. Well, hopefully what I taught you, you'll be able to take into your own work. All right. Thanks,
Awesome.
ladies.
Yeah, thanks, Girl Scouts. And hopefully we'll see you in another Inspiring Futures. All right.
Bye.
Have a good rest of your day.
So cute.
I know, aren't they?
They were really, those were really great questions.